Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
EOS provides innovative 3D printing solutions combining additive manufacturing with traditional manufacturing to solve many of the emerging markets' demands.
In India right now, additive manufacturing is a growing scenario. So additive manufacturing is growing very exponentially from last 3-4 years. So the major chunk being people are able to realize the applications. So we don't have enough applications in India so that additive manufacturing is able to grow at that required space that we are looking at. So for example, we have medical, but the problem with them that is we are in need of designers and the people who can realize the application. So that is where we are trying have a sort of a problem. So how we are trying to address is we have an innovation lab here. So whatever problem statements this any company or any industries have, we take it up and we do the design from our end, and we solve that problem by having it multiple iterations, and then we 3D print it and we try to solve that issue. And then after 3D printing, we see how well technically it is feasible, and then how well economically it is feasible. So giving these two as a business case, we try to solve that problem.
Additive 3D is one of the biggest partners for EOS. So we are enabling corporates and educational institutions to get into additive manufacturing. Usually there is a huge gap between the understanding of additive manufacturing because it is not taught in college, or even in corporates they lack knowledge. So Additive 3D comes in and provides the complete solution, and we have partnered with EOS for the additive manufacturing technology, and the rest of the things from design to enabling the customers from training and even the colleges, we do that, and we enable the customers to get into AM and into production eventually. To go sequence wise, so there are many cases where people are struggling to produce a part or struggling with one of the solutions what they have. So what we do is we go there, we see if that solution works well for AM. Many of the cases the customers will not know if AM is a good solution to them because of the lack of knowledge on materials and lack of knowledge in the technology. So that is where Additive 3D comes in. Additive 3D talks to the customer, understands their pain points. Once we understand the pain point, we give them a solution through additive manufacturing. So that can be changes in the design what they already have, or sometimes they have the design but they want to incorporate the entire additive manufacturing technology to the entire organization. We come in, we train all their engineers and even the higher management, make them understand how additive manufacturing can enable them into a better future.
Let's take medical for example. So cranial implants. So in case of trauma or after an accident or a cancer, patient will lose a part of his skull, cranial implant. So there what happens, every trauma case is different. Every individual accident is different. So every human doesn't have the same skull. So all this while we were dealing with standard implants, wherein everybody had standard implants and it was on the standard size. So 3D printing came in and gave a beautiful case study wherein each cranial implant was customized to the patient. So it became like a custom individual patient implant. So that solved the entire space. So in this, the design was something which was supposed to be changing. So let's say one trauma case happens, the surgery has to go in 3-4 days. 3 to 4 days the surgery has to happen. So in 3D printing we have another advantage is the time. So a designer can design in like 3 to 4 hours and then he can 3D print overnight, and tomorrow morning the implant will be ready to ship. So in 2 to 3 days, so the patient can get an implant of his whatever trauma he has or how much of a gap he has. So this is a big gap that 3D printing has solved in the recent years. And so far in India, I think close to 10,000, more than 10,000 implants have been now installed successfully in a human. So this is how where 3D printing and this technology is solving problems. And it is 3D printed in titanium because we also have certified materials, and the process is certified according to healthcare norms. So we have 27 different alloys that we 3D print with, ranging from steel, titanium, aluminum, inconel, and even we have gold and few other materials we can 3D print. So basically when 3D printed started, it was for aerospace industry. See, aerospace industry is like one of industry where you need very low volume parts and complexity of those parts are very high. So 3D printing fits well with aerospace, wherein rocket engines can be 3D printed. You're not making like 10 lakh rocket engines a year. So maybe you're looking at 10 rocket engines a year. So 3D printing with internal channels for let's say fuel flow or rocket giving thruster or air inlets. So all this became easier with 3D printing. Initially it started out to be a prototyping technology. Now everybody are getting into production with 3D printing. So metal 3D printing is something new. For us it is from 30 years. Last 30 years we are doing metal 3D printing. But the thing is, metal 3D printing, everybody is not able to grasp because it is application based, as I mentioned earlier. So whatever, let's say prototyping or anything which relates to production scenario, so it comes from application. So if you are able to realize that application financially and technically, you are able to go through. Like for example, tooling. So we have a lot of tool makers in India. So the problem with that, them to adopt our technology is, the cost barrier. And what is that value we are adding to that particular industry. So in terms of tooling, we have conformal cooling without even, internal channels we can make using 3D printing, and inserts we can 3D print, and whatever time, just in demand. Let's say they have it in-house and they have a problem with a die. We can replace it in like another 1 day, 1 or 2 day max. So that is the innovation that we are bringing in. But the thing is, it has to come from the customer end or the application they have to realize. So this is the thing, and then they have to include that in their ecosystem. So that's where I see metal 3D printing growing in India. So impact is where patient-specific implant is an impact that we're doing in the society. The other one being the cost and the environment basic. So we focus more on sustainability, and most of our parts are like very low on carbon emission. See, basically you're reducing the number of items in the supply chain. See, when you have a 3D printer, so you are not having tool in the inventory. So every part, and you don't have to have multiple assembly lines. So it is 3D printed as one part, and you have very low on inventory. So you have another concept called digital inventory. So wherein you store the part digitally in your in our folders on demand. We 3D print it and we supply. So I don't have to have any part which is already made and stored. So on demand, I 3D print and supply. So I am reducing on inventory. I'm reducing on tool. Let's say if I have to make a tool to 3D print something and then deliver. So I'm reducing on tool. So I'm also reducing on the elements in the supply chain. So that is how 3D printing is impacting the society, I would say.